Fracking is a term used for the process of hydraulic fracturing. The goal of fracking is to release and harvest natural gases from the earth to be processed, refined, and shipped to distributors. The process of fracking starts by drilling a well directly down to the desired depth that then turns 90 degrees and goes horizontally. This is accomplished with various chemicals and sand being mixed into water that is blasted into dense shale deposits. It breaks up the surrounding rock, which releases natural gas that will rise to the surface. All of the water used will return to the surface when the process is done. Hydraulic fracturing is different from traditional extraction methods. Fracking goes thousands of feet deeper than most wells. It also uses many chemicals that are known as toxic, and one well can use anywhere from 2 to 5 million gallons of water to complete the process. The fracking industry hopes to supply clean and affordable natural fuel for the United States.
Some of the impacts from fracking include water contamination, air quality, water use, and decrease in ag production. Fracking procedures use highly toxic chemicals, including radium and methane, which creates a significant amount of wastewater. The gases released from fracking can harm the ozone layer. Fracking can release up to 450,000 tons of pollutants into the air and contributes to the formation of ozone smog, which can cause health effects in humans. If the toxic water from fracking runs off into the groundwater, it could impact the soil used in agricultural production. This affects production in two ways. One, crops can absorb toxins from the soil, and two, animals feeding in the contaminated area could pick up toxins from the soil as well. Unfortunately, no infrastructure exists to track the extent to which the damage of fracking can cause, but the potential is enough to influence society's automatic mind and their opinion of government policy.
The definition of an externality is a consequence of an economic activity that is experienced by unrelated third parties. The market transaction for this situation is the fracking companies supplying their product to energy distributors, and in turn the energy distributors supplying the fracking companies with profit. And the third party in this situation is the population surrounding the fracking sites.
When there are externalities, there are positive externalities and negative externalities. Some positive externalities involved with fracking is that 1, fracking can increase jobs by providing people a new job to frack in the soil. 2 is that fracking burns cleaner than fossil fuels. The natural gases that are extracted from fracking are known to burn cleaner, and they have less effects than burning fossil fuels such as coal. Coal can produce acid rain, which will then in turn produce medical bills. After the minerals and the natural gases are harvested, they are taken to plants where helium, carbon dioxide, and hydrocarbons and moisture are removed. Third, fracking can also improve the national security by reducing our dependence on other countries for expensive oils and other natural gases.
So this is a graphical representation of a positive externality. This curve right here is the marginal private benefit for the fracking firm. And when you include the positive externalities, it creates a new benefit curve up here, which is the marginal social benefit. So it creates a new equilibrium quantity and price at this point. So the new quantity is here and the new price is here.
The negative externalities of fracking outweigh the positive externalities. For example, 1, fracking can cause cancer risk. The water that they use to extract the natural gases from the earth also get mixed with chemicals, and these chemicals contain radium, and if the water is exposed to radium, this can cause cancer. At the moment, the water is disposed to water treatment facilities that are not adequate enough to remove the radium from the water. These water treatment facilities are only used so far to remove waste from water, that is from showers and sinks and toilets, and cannot remove the radium. Because of this, the water treatment facilities that would be adequate enough would cost a lot more money, and buying more expensive facilities will then cause water prices to increase. Secondly, another negative externality is that fracking can increase earthquakes. Since fracking is literally blowing up the ground underneath us, then this can cause more earthquakes. Thirdly, fracking also causes water contamination. There are over 1,000 cases of water contamination found in locations near fracking sites, as well as cases of sensory, respiratory, and neurological damage due to ingested contaminated water. There were methane levels that are 17 times more concentrated in water near fracking wells versus regular wells.
This is a graphical representation of a negative externality. So this curve is the marginal private benefit, and this curve is the marginal private cost. And when you add in the negative externalities, it creates a new cost curve, which is the marginal social cost. So the marginal social cost is the marginal private cost plus these positive externalities. And this triangle right here is the deadweight loss, which is basically once the new equilibrium comes into play, if you keep producing at the old equilibrium, these are the costs that will be incurred by society.
A policy position indicates a conclusion as to what the role of the government ought to be with respect to a particular problem or set of circumstances. For this topic, one policy position is that fracking is bad because of its harmful effects. Another policy position is that fracking is good because you could obtain natural gases. A fact is something known with certainty. A belief describes what people think is reality. A value is conceptions of what should be. A goal is the desired ultimate end result or objectives. For the policy position that fracking is bad, a fact is that it turns rural areas into environmental wastelands. Fracking also uses tremendous amounts of water that contains chemicals and other damaging materials. Runoff from fracking operations cause environmental harm, and some regulators state that current regulations are not strict enough to prevent this harm. A belief for that fracking is bad is that frackers should study the effects beforehand. Fracking also brings up a number of land rights issues. Since fracking involves horizontal drilling, disputes often arise over whether a fracking company has access to certain segments of land underground. A value is that there should be alternatives. Frackers should realize that animals, people, and the environment are being impacted and damaged. A goal for fracking is bad is that the EPA should have more authority and should be able to regulate more. For the policy position that fracking is good because you could obtain natural gases is a fact. The fact is that energy is supplied, generating electricity with natural gas. There's also other benefits such as lower gas prices and lower unemployment. A belief is that natural gas plants are also relatively cheap to build. Also, studies have shown that fracking does cause small earthquakes. However, it should be noted that these earthquakes are relatively small, and some experts believe that these small earthquakes relieve pressure that could have caused larger earthquakes in the future. A value for fracking is good is that it's better than using coal for energy. A goal for this is that it supplies America with a clean alternative fuel.
What would you do if you were a policymaker? How would you form your opinions about fracking? Is fracking a green development that will aid us in our quest for energy independence while providing new jobs? Or is it really a dirty process that has future consequences while putting hundreds of thousands of lives at risk? You decide.